Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're going to be going over the most recent Unearthed Arcana for the giant options. So, we have 3 subclasses in here, one for Barbarian, one for Druid, and one for Wizard, and then we have some feat options. So, we're going to go through all these things on here, give our thoughts, what we think can make it, what definitely won't make it to the final cut.
Because he seems to think there's something that's not making the final cut.
There's a few things that I'm like, questionable. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond Players Bundle giveaway.
We want to give you free stuff.
And thanks again to our sponsors, Hit Point Press. Make sure you check out their Humblewood box set.
There's so much stuff in there.
Everything you need to run a great adventure. There's a link down in the description. Make sure you give that a look. And we'll just jump straight into it. First subclass, Barbarian, Path of the Giant, Alex.
Oh, we're giant options, Path of the Giant, Barbarian.
Makes sense.
Got it. All right. We have Giant Power. At level 3, you learn to speak, read, and write Giant or one other language of choice. If you already knew Giant, I can't believe people have to specify that, but I'm so glad they do. Because if you already had Giant because of your race choice or whatever else, it gives you an option to grab something else. It makes complete sense. Additionally, you learn either the Druid Craft or Thaumaturgy Cantrip, your choice. Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for this spell. So we got Barbarians with a very small spell.
Yes.
I love it.
But again, when you're raging, you can't cast spells, so...
I mean, yeah, you're not going to cast Thaumaturgy or Druid Craft in combat anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It's a mostly flavored thing.
Yeah.
Also at level 3, we have Giant's Havoc. Your rages pull strength from the primal might of giants, transforming you into a hulking force of destruction.
Bah!
While raging, you gain the following benefits. Crushing Hurl. When you make a successful ranged attack with a thrown weapon using strength, you can add your rage damage bonus to the attack's damage roll. And Giant Stature. Your reach increases by 5 feet.
Like that.
And if you are smaller than large, you become large, along with anything you're wearing. If there isn't enough room for you to become large, your size does not change. So, yeah. You get some extra bonuses on here.
You get big and you get to reach stuff.
Here's the thing that I like. They're both so good. You get some reach. So here's the thing. Your reach increases by 5 feet, and you become large.
Yes.
I don't know, first of all, if that is going to stick. Because just becoming large, like, technically kind of increases your range because you're taking up 4 squares instead of 1. And then add a 5-foot reach extra on top of that.
My guess is mechanically it won't change your amount of size or space you're taking up. Well, I think it'll be reworded. I guess is my
like it doesn't change your size or something.
If it does, you function as if you were large in terms of like grappling or things like that.
That's typically what happens for most of these. But I do really like the ranged Barbarian because that's not something that we typically get to see.
Yes.
So I do like that.
I guess you're throwing. You're just projectile chucking Barbarian if you want to be. Like I let you grab. If you're large, you can grab anything you want to grab and just throw it at them.
Well, on our next ability here,
yes,
we're gonna have some internal synergy.
Will we? We have Elemental Cleaver at level 6. You're born with the elemental might of giants and their ilk. Love that word. Forget the word ilk. Grows, and you learn to infuse weapons with primordial energy. When you enter a rage, you can infuse one weapon of your choice you are holding one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage. When you wield the infused weapon during your rage, the weapon's damage type changes to the chosen type. So it's not getting just extra damage of that type. It converts from bludgeoning, piercing, slashing to the elemental type. Yes. I love that. Weapon also does an extra 1d6 damage of the chosen type when it hits, and it gains the thrown property. We're getting more and more fun here. With a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet, so you still have to kind of get semi-close if you don't have the disadvantage. If you throw the weapon, it reappears in your hand. Yes! So you can Mjolnir some acid arrows.
My first instinct when I read this, with the cold damage, I instantly went to Kratos and the new God of War. The Leviathan axe.
Yep.
Like,
it calls it. Yep.
So good. And it's giants and so good.
The infused weapons benefit are suppressed while a creature other than you wields it. So you can't give like somebody else a magical throwing elemental returning weapon. Just you. And while raging and holding infused weapon, you can use a bonus action to change the infused weapon's current damage type to a different one listed above. So if you defaulted to cold because it's flavor for you, and you encounter something that happens to be to resist or immune to cold, you're like, okay, this is now acid damage. Just take it anyway.
Yes.
And this is a bonus action. And there's no limit to how many times you can change it. You change it anytime you want to as a bonus action.
That seems kind of crazy, dude, because it's like if you're hitting one target and you switch targets, like this thing is vulnerable to this damage and this one is vulnerable to that damage.
I mean, just because as a barbarian, as a default, you don't have much use for your bonus action aside from once you rage. So you're like, cold damage, catch it, and acid damage.
Yeah,
catch
so
it,
that's
and...
cool. That's cool. Kind of a little bit crazy. Mighty Impel, level 10. Your connection to giant strength now allows you to hurl both allies and enemies on the battlefield.
I love this.
As a bonus action while raging, you can choose one medium or smaller creature within your reach and move it to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself. An unwilling creature must succeed on a strength saving throw equal to 8 plus proficiency plus strength mod to avoid the effect. If at the end of the movement, the prone creature isn't on a surface or liquid that can support it, the creature falls, taking damage as normal and landing prone. So... I don't know that this can make it. It just seems a little bit ridiculous to me to just be able to chuck. You could literally just throw stuff like off a cliff and whatnot. Unless I'm just completely missing this. The last paragraph to me is weird, worded so weirdly. Like, thrown creature isn't on a surface or liquid that can support it. The creature falls. Well, I know it says like maybe they need to. If the intention is to make them hit the ground.
Yeah.
Maybe they add some kind of thing like you can't have them thrown into an empty open space.
The abyss.
Right. Like it has to be a physical ground. Like if they reword it, maybe that's the intent. Then I could see it surviving. But to be able to just chuck stuff over a cliff, like you just run up to something, throw them off a cliff, run up to the next thing, throw them off a cliff.
It's a strength save.
It is. You're a barbarian.
No. I know.
So,
and if you remember, what's a barbarian's level 20 capstone ability? Their strength becomes 24.
Right.
Not 20. So that DC is going to be big. It's going to be real big.
Yeah. So I'm not sure on that one.
Now, to be honest, I did not immediately... I did not think about throwing things off a cliff immediately. I really didn't. I thought, I want to grab it, I'm going to spike it directly into the ground in front of me, and now it's prone, I'm just going to whack it.
I mean,
or just for flavor, like basically it's a like a big high suplex. Like you just jump up and just suplex them backwards and then whack them. love that. I cried a single tear there because I thought that ability is fantastic. It's just fantastic. And then finally, okay.
Never seen it in my life.
Okay, at level 14 we have Demiurgic Colossus, and that's not a word. Not
I've never seen that word.
Not in the English language. That's got to be some Gaelic or some Nordic or Icelandic shenanigans. There's no way that's an English word. What you do get at level 14 from this made-up word, Colossus, is the primordial power of your rage intensifies. When you rage, your reach now increases by 10 feet instead of an additional 5.
Crazy.
Your size can increase to huge. And you can use your Mighty Impel to move creatures that are large or smaller.
Yeah,
in addition, the extra damage by your Elemental Cleaver feature is increased to 2d6. So basically, this just says once you hit 14, all the other stuff you're already doing is a little bit better.
Yeah. So, I imagine, like I said, if they change the sizing thing and they change the throwing thing, then this is completely changed as well. So, I think the damage is fine, but I don't...
And the reach?
The reach is crazy. The reach with the size is just so much. Like, that is just...
Would you like to touch everything all of the time? Yes.
A little bit of everything all of the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the Barbarian. So, it's really cool. I love it.
Yeah.
As a DM...
could you
have some concerns.
Yeah, your DM just decides one day, okay, we're going to run a one-shot, play whatever you want to play. And you're like... I use my ability, Mighty Impel, and just throw the guy off the cliff. It's like, you do what? You're doing what day? What wow?
Yeah, so it's like, well, suddenly, everything I encounter is huge or larger. Well, how did that happen? It's like, that is what it is. Druid.
Yes.
All right. Circle of the Primeval. Level 2, we get Keeper of Old. Your connection to the mighty primeval behemoths allow your new sight into the ancient world. You gain proficiency in the history skill. When you make an intelligence history check, you can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the ability check. Okay, you get a nice little bonus to a very niche thing on there. It is what it is. And then what the whole thing is built around here, also level 2, your Primeval Companion.
You gonna go for this?
I'll get it. I'll
Go.
take it. You
All
get
right.
the stat block. How about that?
All right.
Starting when you choose the circle, you can call upon the primeval creature whose spirit is bound to you. As an action, you can expend one use of your wild shape feature to summon your primeval companion rather than assuming a beast form. Companion appears in an unoccupied space of your choice within 30 feet of you. Primeval companion is friendly to you and companions and obeys your commands. See creature stat block for your abilities and all that good stuff. You can determine the cosmetic appearance of the companion. For example, it can evoke ancient predators like raptors, saber-toothed tigers, or etc., etc., etc. More detail on here. These choices have no effect on the companion's game statistics.
Do love that. So you can pick whatever you want to in terms of flavor. If you want a small wingless dragon to be your pet, you can.
There you go.
Totally fine.
In combat, the companion shares your initiative count, but it takes its turn immediately after yours. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but the only action it takes on its turn is the dodge action, unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take another action.
Mm-hmm. This is my favorite thing on here so far. If a creature the companion can see hits a target with an attack, the target is within 5 feet of the companion, so it's standing next to them. It goes back to Jameson's problem he's mentioned before of it's good to have somebody, an ally next to you, but sometimes you're going to end up paying for that because, cleave and AoE and spell damage around. But there's a reason this exists. The companion can take half damage for the original attack's target. So if I hit Jameson for 10 damage and his buddy is standing right over here, the buddy can take 5, he takes 5. And because this thing's going to have a decent amount of health and you can resummon it with just using a wild shape use.
Right.
It's going to be a good damage soak if nothing else. So it would be helpful to have.
And I think the nothing else is pretty telling because that's really the only physical ability that it's gaining. I mean, it just has a regular attack, which is nothing. I mean, it's just piercing, bludgeoning, or slashing. It's nothing really much to it. So
it's basically you're getting a bonus action, like a regular weapon attack, but it's just coming from a different source.
Yeah. So
if you had a spiritual weapon floating around all the time,
it is.
They could soak up damage.
I'm not crazy about it, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Prehistoric Conduit. You learn how to channel the magic through your primeval companion. When you cast a spell with a range other than self, the spell can originate from you or your primeval companion. In addition, if the primeval companion is affected by a spell you cast that allows creatures to make a saving throw against its effect, it automatically has advantage on its saving throw. If the primeval companion would normally take half damage on a success, the companion instead takes no damage on success and half damage with no additional effects on a failed save. So it's got like evasion basically and has bonus to the saves.
Yep.
Which I don't know why it's not just automatic success. That would make it better.
But it could be nothing.
Or you just choose to not if it should just be maybe immune to your spellcasting.
Yeah.
Right? It's affected by a spell that you cast.
Yeah.
So if an ally casts it, it doesn't have the advantage.
That probably should be any non-hostile creature casts a spell.
Right. And then yours, it should just automatically. It should just be unaffected by your spells because it's literally conjured.
By
it's
you.
Not even. Yeah, it's a little weird on there.
At level 10, we have Titanic Bond. Your primeval companion grows to a large size. When you summon it, it can gain either climbing or swimming speed equal to its walking speed. In turn, the primeval companion lends you some of its terrifying might once per turn when your primeval creature is summoned. When you hit a creature with an attack or deal damage to a creature, you can see with a spell you cast, you can force that creature to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failure, the creature is frightened of you until the end of your next turn. And there's no limit to uses of that. It's basically just a free chance to frighten something anytime you hit with an attack or deal spell damage to something every turn.
Yeah. I mean, it's
nothing crazy, but again, it doesn't cost you anything to try.
Right.
So that's fine.
And then lastly, we have Scourge of the Ancients at 14. You learn to fully harness the titanic legacy of your companion. As part of the bonus action to command your companion, you can expend a spell slot of any level to heighten your primeval companion's might, granting it the following benefits. Hulking Behemoth. The companion becomes huge and gains temp HP equal to 10 times the level of the spell slot expended. If there isn't enough room for a companion to become huge, it attains the maximum possible size in the space available. Mauler. On a hit, companions strike deal additional damage equal to 1d8 plus the level of the spell slot expended. Or Titanic Stride. The companion's walking speed increases by a number of feet equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. These benefits last for 1 hour until the companion vanishes or until you expend a spell slot for this feature again. So
it gets angry, is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it gets big and bad. I guess the first time I read through it, I was thinking you choose one of these, but it sounds like the intention is that they get all of them all the time.
Yeah,
which
they do.
is
I mean,
quite a bit better.
You throw a 5 at this thing.
Yeah.
It's going to get 50 health. Its attack's dealing an extra 5d8 per turn.
Right.
And it's going to be able to go everywhere. It's getting 25 feet of extra movement speed. So,
Right.
I mean, this thing will get angry once it hits 14.
I almost see it as almost like an arcane hand, essentially, because you have like a conjured pet. It doesn't require concentration, though. It gets big. It has extra damage. But it's really just a big stick. It's more like a spiritual weapon, really, is what it's like.
It's a more flavored, and but it can actually soak up damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a suit. If spiritual weapon was literally on steroids, it's what this whole thing's built around.
It really is, because I mean it's just bonus action and you do this, but I'm not crazy about it. I feel like it's a little bit too much like Wildfire Druid for me.
I get that.
And again, just building a whole subclass basically around just having like a buffed spiritual weapon just doesn't sound very exciting to me.
Sure.
I feel like they could do more to make it more
until the level 14 thing hits where it just becomes like a madhouse.
Right.
That's really the only thing that sticks out as unique compared to the other things.
Right.
And it's the number one rule I have with subclasses. If you're gonna come in and be new, be unique in some way. And this really doesn't feel super unique until it gets to go buck wild. And the way you get to dump a spell slot of choice and how big you want to make it.
I mean, really, I feel like nothing really happens until 10 or 14.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like level 6 is like it gets advantage on your spell save. Okay. And then level 2 you get the actual pet, but all it does is just has an attack unless it's standing next to an ally.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it seems like it's really simple.
Yeah.
Compared to the ridiculousness of the Barbarian.
Or what we're about to get to, which is the Runecrafter Wizard. And man, do I love this thing. And starting off with, again, one of my favorite RP spells in all of 5th edition, Runes of Understanding. You study of Runecraft has unlocked the ability to decode runes and languages regardless of their origin. You always have comprehend languages prepared. You can cast it without spending a spell slot, and the spell doesn't count against the number of spells you have prepared. So it's a free RP spell.
That's kind of crazy just to get level 2.
On will. Love it.
Also at level 2, we have Runic Empowerment. When you choose a subclass, you learn how to amplify your magic through the application of various runes. Your knowledge of these runes is stored in your spellbook, though you determine the rune's cosmetic appearance. For example, your runes could be engraved into the cover of your spellbook, glowing whenever you cast a spell, or you could work the shape and meaning of the runes directly into a spell's somatic and verbal components. When you cast a spell using a spell slot, you can invoke one of the following runes. The first is Life Rune. When you invoke this rune, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You can choose yourself, which is important. The chosen creature gains temp HP equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. Alright.
Sure.
War Rune. When you invoke this rune, choose one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you. Until the end of your next turn, attack rolls that target the chosen creature gain a bonus equal to half the level of the spell slot expended.
Essentially, that's armor pen. Essentially, because you're basically reducing
the armor.
Their functioning armor class. Because everybody's getting a +2 to hit if you throw a.
Yeah.
I mean, a level 3 spell is going to let you trigger, +2 to hit.
Yeah.
And it also, and the other thing it's I think very important with this rune specifically is choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. So you can target somebody over here with a spell, and then choose this person over here as long as they're within range. Doesn't say when you hit somebody with a spell, it has to be the same thing. So you could, hit somebody with the spell, and then
when you cast a spell, it doesn't say
So you could literally do a hold person over here or something over this direction, and then this thing that's been really bulky, we've been hard to hit. I'm going to target this guy, but his AC is going to go down.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which really really cool. It's not. It's kind of hidden maybe in the wording a little bit, but I read that. I was like,
or not,
I was like, well, that's fantastic.
Seems fair. The last option is Wind Rune. When you invoke this rune, your speed increases by a number of feet equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended, and your movements don't provoke opportunity attacks. These benefits last until the start of your next turn. You can invoke no more than 1 rune per spell. You can use this feature a number of times equal to a proficiency bonus. Regain all uses when you finish a long rest.
Yep.
So again, we're getting more into these scaling type of abilities, which I do like the scaling side of things.
Yes. At level 6, we have Sigils of Warding. You can call on a rune of protection to guard yourself against threats. This is so much fun. When you fail a strength, dexterity, or constitution saving throw, a la concentration check,
Absolutely.
you can use your reaction to expend one of your runic empowerment and succeed on the saving throw instead. All you big fat monsters with your automatic success, that's still one of the most infuriating things in 5th edition is that
Legendary
resistance. And I understand why it exists, but make it to where is they have advantage on the saving throw.
So like some monsters have advantage and still have legendary resistance.
And that's stupid. Because they
some monsters aren't affected by spells under a certain level. Hey.
That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense to me than they can just shoot, like, on the off chance they do fail. Yeah. They just like, nah.
Right.
Like, giving it advantage, let them re-roll a choice is fine. Give them another chance to, but like just automatics, I hate it.
We hit a nerve.
I hate it. It's like him and warlocks and spells. Hate legendary resistances. Anyway, also at level 10, we have Rune Maven. Your understanding of runecraft has grown immensely. Whenever you use your arcane recovery feature, you can also regain a number of expended runic empowerments. Number of uses you regain can be no more than half your intelligence modifier rounded up.
All right, so it's going to be 3 because you will have a 20 intelligence ASAP.
Yep.
And then level 14, we have Engraved Enmity. You have mastered the art of wielding your runes directly against your foes. As a bonus action, you can target one creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC or be magically marked by an enmity rune. The enmity rune appears as a faint glowing mote of energy that hovers over the marked creature, which suffers the following effects. Runecraft's Bane. Creature has disadvantage on saving throws made against spells you cast.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Unveiled enemy. The radiance of the glowing rune makes the creature invisible if it's invisible, and the creature can't become invisible while the rune persists.
Niche, but cool.
Yep. Kind of like Fairy Fire, but
pretty basically
better. Woeful Curse. When you mark the creature, and as a bonus action on subsequent turns for the duration, you can invoke the enemy rune to curse the creature until the start of your next turn. The next time one of your allies hits the cursed target with an attack roll, the target also takes 1d8 force damage and the curse ends. You're actually getting all 3 of these at one time.
You are.
But it's just a bonus action for that curse for that one ability is the d8. So you basically are paying a bonus action to give an extra 1d8 force damage. So you can constantly use your bonus action every turn to give that 1d8 force damage, is what it sounds like it's actually the intention.
As long as that doesn't trigger the curse to end when you do that.
Well, it says the Woeful Curse is that ability for the bonus action.
Right.
So you're ending the...
okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you're trading your bonus
the ability is Engraved Enmity. It's not a right. Curse, per se.
I feel like it needs to be, for wording clarity-wise, it's a little bit confusing the way it's worded, I think.
I would just, once every turn, you could use your bonus action to deal an extra 1d8 force damage. Period. Like it would be less confusing to me.
Possibly. And then, of course, once you mark a creature, you can't do it again until you finish a long rest, or you expend a 3rd level spell slot or higher, which is nothing. I mean, you're a wizard, so a 3rd level spell slot.
To gain disadvantage against your spells.
It's worth it. Let alone just anything else. Even if it could be just that, and it would be worth it. You know what I mean? Like that is huge.
Because by the time you get to 14 and you're there.
But that's a capstone. That is a capstone. Like that thing is crazy, especially for level 14 to be able to get that. Is pretty.
Is that helping you with synergy? If whenever this becomes official, after they change it, we're gonna put a high synergy score on this thing.
Yeah,
giving you disadvantage to what you are. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't think that this can stay the way it is. I feel like it's too good. Maybe you just get one of these. You can pick one of these things. And like you said, I don't know.
The problem with that is the invisibility thing is it's way too niche to be a one-off there.
Maybe you have to hear me out here. Maybe what they need to do is whenever you want to activate it, you have to use a bonus action. So you have to use your bonus action to give disadvantage on your saving throws, or you have to use your bonus action to.
So it does caution you every turn to keep it going,
right? So because it is concentration, to be fair. So there is that. So I guess that is the cost.
And if you're going to get something smart anyway, they want to clap you out of existence because you're
right. If you're giving
squishy wizard,
yeah, I think it's really interesting, but I feel like it might need a little bit of tuning on there.
We're uncertain at best.
Yeah, on that one. The rest of it I feel like is probably fine. The auto saving, synergy there, automatically saving the concentration check. once you hit 14, you're probably not going to even care about your runes anymore. You're just going to use it to keep up your capstone to make sure you don't fail it.
That War Rune armor cut thing, to me, is by far
it can be very
the best
good.
of those three. It's like, yeah, temp HE is fine. It's 5 times the slot level. It's I mean, guess if you throw a big level 7, you want the 35 temp HP. Sure. The impact of lowering something's effective armor class.
That's huge. Like 3 or 4.
Because it's half of the spell's level rounded up.
Right.
So if you even get, I said, do a 5, you're lowering something's AC effectively by 3 for the round. I mean, taking something's AC from 20 down to 17.
Yeah, that's huge.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I feel like this subclass is really strong. I feel like it's almost too strong. Something's probably going to have to change.
Probably.
I don't know what changes, honestly, but something's maybe need to be tuned down a little bit on here. I'd be surprised if it went through unchanged.
The one thing, I guess, with the Engraved Enmity is going to be is it is a wisdom save, fail or not. Like, it's all or nothing. So
that's true.
If they succeed against your saving throw, your capstone's gone.
Yeah.
It's once per day unless you want to throw another spell slot at trying to hit it again.
Yeah.
It's not like you go into a state like a paladin does, for a minute, and you're bonkers for a minute.
Right. No, that's fair, I guess. So maybe that does bring it in to be more balanced. Is between it being concentration and a wisdom save.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot more hit or miss in late games.
And wisdom's like one of those middle of the roads. Like it's not the worst and it's not the best save.
It's not strength or con, but it's not intelligence or charisma.
Right. Exactly. So yeah.
it's in that. It's a little bit better than Dex, maybe.
So, yeah, maybe it makes sense. Maybe it makes sense.
I'm curious to see how much of it sticks and how much of it gets modified in there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the 3 subclasses. There's also 10 feats. A couple of them are used whenever. There's a handful of that require specific levels to get to, and one of them is specifically for the Runecarver Apprentice.
Yes, similar to what we've seen in like Strixhaven or the more recent Heroes of Krynn, where it's got like the feats that build on other feats kind of thing.
Yep.
Which I do like that.
Absolutely. First up, we have Elemental Touched. You learn either the Druidcraft or Thaumaturgy cantrip using Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma as your spellcasting ability. When you finish a long rest, you can choose which element you are attuned to: air, earth, fire, or water. You're a mild version of the Avatar. Depending on your choice, you can use a bonus action to gain one of the following benefits. If you chose air, you gain a fly speed equal to your walking speed until the end of your turn. If you are airborne at the end of your turn or after you use this movement and aren't held aloft, by the means you fall. So essentially you have a jump, like a leap kind of thing, like a long jump. Earth, when you can cause the ground within 30 feet of you to become difficult terrain for 1 minute or until you create this effect again. During that time, you can move across ground that is difficult terrain without expending extra movement. That's kind of cool. Okay. Very, very druidy. Fire, you surround yourself in a cloud of ash and smoke until the end of your turn. Your movement does not provoke opportunity attacks. Nifty.
All right.
And finally, with water, you create a forceful surge of water directed at a creature within 15 feet of you that you can see. The creature must succeed in a strength saving throw, which you don't love, which is DC of 8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus, or be pushed 10 feet away from you. The water vanishes immediately after the creature succeeds or fails. You can create this effect a number of times equal proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
So yeah, that's quite a bit of options there for a feat.
That's kind of cool, yeah. And you can choose it when you finish a long rest. So he's like, I'm feeling kind of earthy today. I mean,
that is definitely interesting for a feat.
I really feel like a martial class, a barbarian, paladin, monk,
for
fighter
utility
would love to be able just to make difficult terrain around them. It's like, can't get away from me.
Right. For sure.
Just wailing on stuff.
Next, we have Ember of the Fire Giant, which has a prerequisite of 8th level. And I checked because I saw that and I thought, that sounds kind of weird. This is the first time, really, that we've seen level requirements for feats.
Yes.
There's been other things where it's like race requirements.
Eldritch Invocations.
Eldritch Invocations as well have level requirements. Or having race or ability modifier require you have to have X amount of ability modifier or proficiency before you can take it. But this is just purely level, which is interesting because then it lets you maybe tune it a little bit more, because maybe at level 1 it's broken if someone at level 1 has some of these abilities.
Like resistance to fire damage.
So
but there are some races that have resistance to damage types.
Right. So it's interesting to see that they're starting to do that. So see if it's something that sticks around or not.
Yep.
With this, you get Born of Flame, which is fire resistance. You have Searing Ignition. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks with a magical burst of flame. Each creature of your choice within 15 feet that you can see must make a dex save equal to proficiency 8 and con mod. On a failed save, creature takes fire damage equal to 2d6 plus your proficiency bonus and is blinded until the start of your next turn. On a success, the creature takes half as much damage with no effect. You can use your Searing Ignition number of times equal to proficiency bonus to regain all uses on a long rest. So some nice extra utility potentially, and fire damage.
I think the blind is really good. The chance you try to blind people in an AoE multiple times, cool.
For sure.
Next up is Fury of the Frost Giant. You gain resistance to cold damage. Oh, this is a prerequisite level 4. So you're not the 8, but it is level 4 of the prerequisite. Resistance to cold damage, Born of Ice, and then Frigid Vengeance. Some of these word combinations are very, very difficult to say if you say them too quickly. You gotta enunciate all of your syllables. When a creature hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to retaliate with a burst of magical ire. Not fire, this is cold stuff. The creature must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw, DC of 8 plus proficiency plus Constitution, or be frightened of you until the start of its next turn. You can use your reaction number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all ultimate use to finish a long rest.
All right, so some fear and cold on there. Guile of the Cloud Giant. Again,
imagine that.
Level 8. On here, with Misty Form, you can cast the Blur spell without using a spell slot or material components. When you cast the spell this way, the spell doesn't require you to maintain concentration on it.
That's fine.
Once you cast a spell in this way, you can't do so again, so you finish a long rest. You can also cast the spell in the normal way using spell slots. You have the appropriate level. Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your spellcasting ability for the feature, chosen when you gain it. And Silver Tongue, you gain proficiency in either the Deception or Persuasion skill. Proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make using this skill.
So both a proficiency and an expertise, essentially, right there on the spot. Next up is Keenness of the Stone Giant, a prerequisite of level 4. You have Dreamer's Magic. You learn the Detect Thoughts spell and one first-level spell of choice. The first-level spell must be from the Abjuration or Divination School of Magic. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot. Once you cast either of your spells this way, you can't cast a spell in this way again until you finish a long rest. So both of them each once per day for free. You can also cast these spells using spell slots you have at the appropriate level. If you can do so, Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma, your spellcasting ability for the feature. Choose when you gain the feat. You also have Mountain Sight. You gain dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. If you already have it from another source, it increases by 30 feet instead, which is great. Again, I love when if it gives something you already have,
right,
it buffs it instead or lets you pick an alternative option. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been tossed around the idea of a character build for a one-shot, or with my, so a couple of our campaigns we're going between thinking about maybe options between a feat or whatever else.
Right.
And, well, I don't want to take that because it's going to give me something I already have. Right. So kind of wasting part of what I would get from that. Yep. So I love when things give you either a buff instead of a new thing or an ulterior option.
Yeah, for sure. Then we have Outsized Might. Little but mighty, you gain proficiency in either the athletics or acrobatics skill. Powerful build, you count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the amount you can push, drag, or lift. And stalwart, you have advantage on saving throws against being moved or knocked prone. So just
you're in there.
Some sturdy reliability.
Okay, here comes some speed reading time. We have Rune Carver Apprentice. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can mark one non-magical weapon, armor, piece of clothing, or other object you touch with a rune of your choice. You temporarily learn one first-level spell based on the rune you choose, as specified in the rune spells table, and you know the spell until you finish a long rest when the rune fades. Here we go. Blood, False Life, Cloud, Fog Cloud, Death, Ray of Sickness, Dragon, Chromatic Orb, Enemy, Bane, Fire, Burning Hands, Friend, Bless, Frost, Armor of Agathis, Hill, Goodberry, Journey, Longstrider, King, Command, Light, Guiding Bolt, Life, Cure Wounds, Mountain, Jump, Shield, Shield, Stone, Sanctuary, Storm, Thunderwave, War, Heroism, Wind, Featherfall. That's all one breath, folks. While you're wearing or carrying the rune mark object, you can cast the chosen spell associated with the rune once without expending a spell slot or material components. You can also cast using a spell slot you have, like normal. Your casting ability for the feat is Intelligence, Wisdom, Charisma. You choose when you gain this feat.
Interesting. So you get like a one spell a day, basically.
And you can pick which spell it is.
And you also get to learn the spell as well.
Yeah.
So. And then we have Rune Carver Adept, which is a 4th level requirement with the Rune Carver Apprentice feat. So this is building on to the previous one.
Yep.
Your skill with your Art of Runecraft has increased. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can now mark a number of objects equal to your proficiency bonus with a rune from the Runecarver Apprentice feat. An object can have only one rune at a time, and you must inscribe a different rune on each object.
So you're an artificer. You're kind of an artificer with spells. You're a spell officer.
2 feats and you're an artificer. Oh, boy.
So instead of making magic, you're just getting some extra little, like, one-off little spells. I'm just saying, giving Guiding Bolt to non-clerics.
Yeah.
I mean,
even cure wounds, just stuff that's just decent to have. Like more you take more RP stuff, or just having healing options. Shield, giving shield to everyone.
Give a Barbarian Bane.
Hey man,
just go in there and get himself.
I think anything with shield is just good. Like you just get shield, like it's one of the best spells in the game. Mm-hmm. So, all right.
Yeah, your reaction spell, like it's such a rare thing.
Right.
Yeah. Next up, and again, to me, you're not taking Runecarver Apprentice if you don't intend to take Runecarver Adept right behind it. Like, what's the point?
Unless you just really, really, really want one spell. Like, you really want Shield.
Or you really want Shield, you really want Cure Wounds because nobody else in your party can cast heal spells. Like,
you're in trouble if no one in your party can heal at all.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you gotta,
or maybe there's only one healer in your party, so you want to make sure somebody else can. If you're a wizard, you're like, I'm gonna grab this, so I can get.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Also, we have Soul of the Storm Giant. So finally, I get to read one of these giant ones. We get it is a prerequisite of level 8. We have Maelstrom Aura as a bonus action. You surround yourself in an aura of magical wind and lightning that extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. Very specific. The aura lasts for 1 minute or until you are incapacitated. When the aura is active, attack rolls against you have disadvantage. Well, that's wonderful. And whenever a creature starts its turn within the sphere, you can force the creature's speed to be halved until the start of its next turn. Wow. Once you use bonus action, you can't do this until you finish a long rest.
I mean, that's big. Even if it's once a day, that's still pretty solid.
Pretty good. Also, as part of the same thing, we have Storm's Oracle. You can cast the Divination spell as a ritual without needing material components. Cool. Intelligence of a creature spell cast a modifier feature. Choose when you gain the feat. Once you cast a spell, you can't do it again. You finish a long rest. So it's a one spell per day, but cool. Sure. Pretty cool RP spell to be getting once for free.
Yeah, I think that first ability is really solid.
That's why you can wait to level 8 to get it.
Yeah, like you're. I mean, this is a really strong defensive ability.
I might take this one full hand.
Hey,
it would play in really well.
Yeah. I mean, that Tempest Cleric, man.
The Tempest Cleric, Blue Dragonborn. Like,
yeah, I mean, hey, it fits right in there. Vigor of the Hill Giant, last one on here. Prerequisite, 4th level. Bulwark. When you are subjected to an effect that would move you at least 5 feet or knock you prone, you can use your reaction to steady yourself. You are neither moved nor knocked prone. And then Hardy Health.
That's cool.
When you are subjected to a spell that restores your hit points, you can regain additional hit points equal to your con mod. You can regain these hit points a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Regain all uses when on a long rest. So you gain more health back sometimes, and you can't get knocked back. I feel like, what was that other one that was the not being knocked
outsized
back?
Might gets you your advantage on saving throws against being moved or knocked prone.
Yeah.
I mean, This is all about being big. It's all about giant, so it's playing on Fire Giant, Frost Giant, Storm Giant, Cloud Giant. The Rune Magic thing is Rune Knight Fighter is one of my favorite fighters. If I ever decide to make a fighter, I'm playing Rune Knight Fighter.
Yeah.
Check out our video about that thing, how cool that subclass is. Self-plug. But yeah, I actually like most of these feats in terms of flavor because they fit in really well. There's a variety of good options in here. Probably my favorite list of feats overall that I have seen come out in a UA or in books that have been released already. And I don't think any of these are just so wild because even like the Solar Storm Giant where you're getting disadvantage, it's once a day for a minute.
Right.
And that's the entire thing you're getting out of combat defeat is just disadvantage on attacks against you.
I think the thing, I do think these are all really interesting, especially if you're trying to build a specific kind of character. This is going to give you a lot more options to do so. Oh, yeah. And I think the balance to it is the level requirement. I think that really is more impactful than people will give credit to it initially.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people, when you're leveling up characters, and then again, at least the way I think, is you're trying to get your stats as quickly as possible. Yeah. To max out your chance to hit, your spell save DC for casters, spell attack, all that kind of stuff for your weapons, all that jazz. Yeah. As soon as possible, it's important to get your primary stat high. Now, granted, if you're taking a variant human, going to get the word variant there for a second, you're getting a 1 feat to start with.
Right.
But the fact that some of these are geared behind later levels, they kind of feel better when you take a feat at level 12. I was like, well, I couldn't get this until level 8 anyway.
Right.
So I'm like, I like that, and I think that creates some interesting options, knowing that you can't get them until later. And it would not bother me at all to see them do more feats like this.
No, I agree. It gives you more customization to your character, and there is a cost to do so.
Yeah.
Instead of increasing your stats, you're taking an ability, which I think is really interesting. Kind of a risk-reward.
Opportunity cost, man.
For sure.
Learn them words.
I would love to actually see more of these building feats, where it's like, you're planning a character build, and you're foregoing stats to get like this leveled up feature, which I think is really cool concept.
I think it's the first time they've done that, where there's a feat, like a base version, and then like an advanced version of the same feat.
They had actually, Strixhaven has one, and then the Heroes of Krynn, the Dragonlance one, had a couple, I believe, in that one as well. The last Unearthed Arcana.
It's been a minute since we've ran through some of these. It has been a hot minute. Yeah, like that.
But yeah, it is a new concept, really.
Yeah.
Strixhaven is when they started testing it, but I would love to see more of that. And I know it kind of maybe pigeonholes you a little bit, but if you're trying to build up a specific character, I think it's really interesting to have that option.
Yeah, and I guess there technically is a thing as too many options, but really not. Just because, is it? There's
We're
thousands.
talking about RPG here. Is there ever such thing?
I mean, yeah.
You know, I just had a really interesting thought too.
Oh no!
And this is gonna just be really weird. So what I'm thinking of is, instead of picking a class, you take like a sidekick or a survivor, and every time you level up, you get a feat. So instead of getting like class abilities,
you're learning like life experiences,
right.
and you stumble upon like these magic relics that bestow you stuff. You're just trying to stay alive out here,
You're just a regular dude, and you're not getting a bunch of HP and stats
spells and stuff.
You're just learning all kinds of crazy feats. Like,
I mean,
a campaign on that would be so interesting to me.
It's kind of like Rune Knight Fighter. I know I've brought it up already once today, but it kind of feels like that. Or your artificer, like you're kind of making your own magic items and stuff. And she goes like, that was kind of cool. I want to kind of make that thing.
I want to do that now as like a one shot or like a small series of a mini campaign that's like survivors.
Like, the only problem with this: how many mini campaign ideas are you trying to keep active at one point? Like, he's got like 5 different great campaign ideas, 2 of which we're in the middle of playing.
This is the problem.
But again, you're like we've only got so many hours in the week here. With so many characters I can maintain in my head to balance between.
That's it. But yes, lots of interesting stuff on here.
Altaholic over here. Gosh dang it.
Biggest thing, love the Barbarian.
Yes.
I'm very mad on the Druid, honestly, in my opinion.
By far the weakest of the 3.
The Wizard, I think, is really cool, too.
The Wizard is my personal favorite.
Love the Feats.
I like the Rune Carver concept.
Yes,
I like the fact that it's kind of customizable within itself. I love choices and versatility.
For sure. Same. So lots of cool stuff in this one. I'm curious to see what they're gonna keep or change. Let us know your thoughts.
You know they're gonna take her with the Barbarian. I really don't think the Wizard's gonna get changed that much because that top enmity thing is really potent, but it can completely whiff.
Yeah,
on a Wisdom save, and if it hits, it's gone. It's done. Unless you want to again spend a whole spell slot to try to retrigger it, and you're trying to retrigger. You're not reactivating it by doing it again. It's just
for sure. So let us know your thoughts down below, guys. That's going to be it for today. Thanks again to our sponsors, Hit Point Press. Check out that Humblewood box set.
So much good stuff in there. Just so much good material in this UA. So much good material in that Humblewood box set.
There you go.
I did
Connected the dots.
That's right.
That's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you know when our new videos are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching.